When we talk about supported employment, Mr. McDonald, can you kind of tell us what supported employment is?
Supported employment is taking people with very severe disabilities and essentially putting them through training and getting them a job, getting them to work.
Mm-hmm.
We have programs that gear their curriculum, if you call it, or their training toward these supported employment people. So we'll contract with them for them to do the training and then to assist the person in getting some type of employment.
So these are vendors that...
The vendors, we contract with the vendors.
So help me to understand the scenario. The state of Arkansas does not provide the employment opportunity. The vendors provide the opportunity and the training, and your department simply provides the manpower for those individuals with the impairments that need the employment. Is that how it works?
No, we contract with people. So we write the check. And an organization such as, Goodwill, for example, they have a program with their program for supported employment. We give them at certain milestones, at a referral, we pay them a certain amount. At I don't have when they're getting training, they get a certain amount. When they've been placed, they get a certain amount.
I saw that on your website. It's incremental based on the services.
Right. And as it goes along, and then when we'll get reports from these people, they will give us a monthly progress report when they have reached these milestones, and we pay them for it. So we're the pocketbook in a sense.
Yes.
And, but we also kind of monitor the programs. If there's things going on or if it's not working and things like that, we would be involved. But that's more a collaborative effort with the organizations that we're working with.
Now, you mentioned Goodwill, and that's an example that apparently has had a lot of success nationally. Are there other vendors that the state of Arkansas has worked with that has appreciated similar success?
Oh,
results?
yeah. Supported employment is a fairly successful program. You have, or when they're getting intensive help for it, for going into the workplace with their disabilities, and so with the intensive help, that results in a high success rate with it. And then we also assist in placement. So we have placement people that can go out and they kind of recruit. They're called BRRs, Business Relations Representative, I think. They have people that are businesses that we know that hire people with disabilities, and that they'll go out and they make the contact and they'll meet with the students. And sometimes the particular program does that part too. So it just depends on the situation.
Now, these business relationship representatives, as you call them, are these persons rehabilitation counselors, or are they specific to just being
the BRRs, that is their job, to help with placements. Now, they're not just with supported employment, they're with any of our clients. And so they assist in the placement process. Once a person's ready for a job, then they assist in whatever means they need, up until we get a successful closure, which means they've maintained employment for 3 months.
Excellent. In the state of Arkansas, do you know when this model began? I know you've been around this particular agency for a long time.
It started on a real small scale, and I must have started working on it with it, I would say, the late 90s. That's my guess. And it started out with that, and then I think I started working with it in the probably about 2000, early 2000s. So it's been going for a while.
How is supported employment funded?
It's funded through VR money. Now, we set aside a certain amount for supported employment, but it comes through our VR money, is my understanding.
Would you say that overall it's been successful?
Yes, yes, I do. And I think it's growing. We're getting people with disabilities to work.
Are there supported employment state grants?
Not that I'm aware of in Arkansas. Now, I understand that I've been told that different states, they even define supported employment somewhat different. And so I'm not sure what it is, but I'm not aware of anything. There again, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt because I haven't dealt with it.
No, but as far as you're concerned, that the VR budget, which is, of course, comes from, of course, it all starts with Department of Education, and then it trickles down to what's the big umbrella agency? I just forgot there.
RSA.
Yeah, RSA, Rehabilitation Services Administration.
Yeah.
And of course, then the state VR, and that's where your budget comes from. But it's federal money, but the state of Arkansas does not support, in your understanding, does not provide tax dollars to supported employment. It's all through VR funding.
Yes, right. Yeah, my concern has been, we got the money.
Right.
How much money do we have?
Exactly.
So I haven't really ever dealt with
Where it comes from.
where it comes from.
Right.
So it's kind of bits and pieces of conversation. But my understanding is it comes, it's government funded.
Excellent.
I mean, federal government funded.
Right. Now, as far as the success that you've discussed with the supported employment programs, are there any barriers that you're aware of to individuals gaining supported employment?
Tell me if I'm not answering your question right, but the barriers is the disability. I mean, it's you could have a person with autism, for example. Sometimes their behavior is such that I mean, they can't function around other people, or a lot of change, or whatever the disability is. So, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, the disability would be the barrier, and then there's always a possibility of barriers from other things. I mean, there could be prejudice toward men or women, races, the stuff that we have in society already. But
Social
I think
organization.
the biggest barrier is the disability.
All right. What are some factors that can lead to successful supported employment? And this is not about the consumer characteristics, but I guess the factors that can lead to successful supported employment from an agency perspective.
So you're asking, how do we get a successful outcome with it? Is that what you're asking? I mean, what goes into making that? Am I understanding the question?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. It would, well, for one thing, the training. I mean, we need to learn how to how to do the job. But they also need to know there are just basic things that you have to do to get a job. Keep yourself clean, neat, appearance, how you respond to people, how you deal with conflicts, how do you do all these different things. There's a thing, after they get a job, they have what's called job coaching, which is, and this will be done by the vendor, they go into the job and help with any problems. Problems I've heard about that have had to be dealt with have been things like someone maybe has some type of disability that that they talk to themselves, or they have to do self-talk or whatever. Well, if they're in there sweeping the floor at a Wendy's, that's going to scare the customers. So these are things that need to be considered in placement and sometimes in just working with the person. But you got to make the right job placement with the right people. The willingness of the organizations to work with them.
Yes.
Walgreens, I was hearing yesterday about how Walgreens is making a huge effort to work with people with disabilities. And so things like that, you put it in there where their culture within their own agency, their own business, is such that they're willing to know that they're going to have to do accommodations, that they need to kind of help the person do the job.
While we're on the subject of Walgreens, can you include at least 5 agencies or people who are supported employee resource providers in the area that you're familiar with? I know we talked about Goodwill. Now, is Walgreens one of those?
Well, now Goodwill would be more, they do the training and stuff, but they don't necessarily hire. Some of these places sometimes will take on some of our people and hire them. It has to be in competitive employment, though. It has to be something that anyone else could apply for.
Okay, competitive and not supported.
Well, we can provide support to it, but they can't set aside, say, a job that only people with autism can apply for. This has to be the general public that applies for the job. And well, it has to go through it has to be a competitive employment.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't think Goodwill might. Again, they might have something that they see that they could hire someone to do. As long as they're interviewing able-bodied people along with it, then it's considered a legitimate placement. I can't give you 5. If we had the counselor here, and I don't think she's here today, she could give you 5 names of people. I know that we've done Walmart. Walgreens. I know we've had people in Kroger's, grocery store chain. Those are the 3 that come to mind right now.
In addition to Goodwill, so that's 4.
Well, Goodwill would be more the training thing. You're talking about where they get employment, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, Goodwill, I don't know if they've done placement. They might do placement. But as a general rule, they're training people to go out away from them.
Okay.
So all they're doing is saying, let me teach you how to get and maintain a job. Then they take them into the general public.
Very good. I had no idea that was the structure.
Right. They're not training them to work in Goodwill. And I think how I'm confusing that for you is Goodwill may say, well, we've got a position here that we'll interview you for. But for the most part, it's going, or almost 100%, it's going out into the community and stuff.
How many years total do you have with the state of Arkansas?
I am thinking it's probably around 21, probably around 2021. I'm not sure exactly.
You like your work?
I love
Sounds
it.
like you do.
No, I really do. I love it. I think that this is a position not only as an administrator, but also when doing direct line work. It's a position. I mean, we go into this field because we want to provide a service to people. And we are taking the people who, not just with supported employment, but with our, these are the overlooked people in society. I mean, they oftentimes have no voice because they don't have people within them, their own ranks that can have the ability to advocate for themselves. I mean, this, in my view, this is the discriminated group, and not always because society is discriminating against them, because they don't know how to ask for what they need.
Absolutely.
And stuff. And we're here, and we can actually make a difference with people that are really overlooked in our society. So I love it.
Now, I saw a fellow this morning, speaking of an administrator, Mr. Lee Trevino. He used to be the commissioner.
Yeah.
Now, is he still the commissioner?
No. He's working with placement. No, he's doing something with financing, though. He's Bob Trevino's who you're thinking
Yeah,
of.
Bob Trevino.
He's a former commissioner.
Where are you in the hierarchy? When you're an administrator and you say that your immediate boss is Carl Daughtery?
Carl Daughtery. Carl Daughtery is Chief of Field Services. So I'm over a section in the field. So my connection with central office and the senior administrations is they administer the programs and turn it over to me and the other district managers who have various programs that we supervise.
All right.
But we always supervise. I think I'm the only one that only has one office, and that's because
Little Rock is so big.
Little Rock's so big, and I work with the programs for the deaf. So that's kind of my second office. They keep talking about giving me another office, and I kind of hide in the corner. No, I'm willing to if that's what's needed to do. But right now, I think they got things pretty much covered.
Well, let's talk about your transition, and I'll finalize it from where your previous office was at the state capitol or Corporate Hill Drive.
Right.
Where you were the director of supported employment. Is this a promotion?
No, it's a lateral move.
Oh, it's a lateral move.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was. I was still working with. I was working with programs for the deaf, and ended up with supported employment too. And but it really got to be. It was requiring someone that needed to spend a lot of time with it, and
yes.
And I was being pulled from so many different areas and stuff that Dale took it.
With the economy and technology being as it is, and more jobs being relegated to the service sector, what would you like to see take place in supported employment that allows people with impairments to kind of keep up with the new trend that's displacing people based on technology, robotics, and so on? How can a person with impairments keep up with the changes, in your opinion?
I would need to speak more in general terms with people with disabilities and supported employment, because I know that they have looked at that issue and supported employment, but not since I've been with it. So if I could just speak to general disability, everything's changing. I was listening to a news show which got me to thinking, and it was a woman who they were interviewing a woman who was in a horribly abusive relationship, and then she got out of it, and she was being stalked and everything like that, and she made the decision that she was not going to be online. She was not going to have an electronic trail. Evidently, the person who was doing this could keep up with her whereabouts. And so she did it. Got rid of email, no internet, no nothing, no electronic trail, no cell phone, and all that. And she was being interviewed, and she said she can't keep doing it because she couldn't do anything. She couldn't apply for jobs. Right. She couldn't get information. You can't apply for jobs unless you do it online a lot of times now. Everything is